We are live on a recording, and Lynn, we have been trying to do this podcast for a while now. The time has finally arrived.
Finally.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this project with you. Um, there are so many homes out on the marketplace that are for sale that are not in the best condition right now.
Right.
And, I get it. Life happens, budgets fall apart, and people have to make choices between different priorities. And a lot of times, what happens is that items that are not affecting the major systems of the home get put on the back burner. So they tend to push those projects out. One of the things that I've noticed about you is how well you take care of your home. In my opinion, I consider you like an expert because your home is in amazing condition,
Thank you.
cosmetically as well as functionally. So that's why I really wanted to talk to you about this, because you explained your process and how you manage your home maintenance
Right.
like a business. So that's why I wanted to have you on. I consider you an expert on the subject matter.
I wouldn't say expert, but I definitely will say that I've learned a lot in terms of managing my home. And I think I shared with you in conversation that I manage it, not just the maintenance part of it, but I manage my home like a business. And that does include the maintenance and setting it up so that it's easy to maintain. And I don't have to find myself in a position of making a decision and we'll get into more detail about that and how I actually came about setting these accounts up and setting this up to take care of my home so that I'm not in a situation or pressed to make a decision on, is it mortgage? Is it water heater? Is it food? Because it really does come down to those priorities, right? So.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay.
All right. So I like to think of the home broken out into systems, almost like the organs in the body. These systems are the heart of the matter. And when they go down, when these systems go down, it makes it very difficult to live comfortably in the home. And you're basically in a situation where you have to address the matter if that system goes down. So let's talk about the first system. It's the roof. Roofs that have broken down, they will let water into the home, and that can do a great deal of damage and cause mold over time. Right. Included in the roof are the gutters and the soffits. The soffits is the area right underneath the edge of the roof, right, and it extends back towards the actual wall of the home. So soffits are very important and part of the process as well. Another system is the HVAC system, the heating and air conditioning. There are two components in this system. It's the furnace, which is usually in the attic or in the crawl space, and the condenser, which is outside, which everybody thinks is everything in one, but it's its own unit. And what it does, or what those two items do, is they coordinate with each other information, which changes the air from hot air to cold air. The water heater, that's kind of self-explanatory. This is what controls your hot water in the home. And if you don't have hot water, you can't take a warm shower. The electrical system, which includes the electrical panel, there are circuit breakers in the panel, which sometimes will break down. Sometimes the switches will lose their ability to snap on or off. and those circuit breakers need to be replaced if that happens. If your home has a septic tank, this is a very important system. When septic tanks dysfunction or when they break down, you can't flush your toilets. And if you're in that situation, that's a very difficult situation to deal with, and that needs to be addressed by a technician immediately. The structure, which is pretty much the framing of the home. Most homes are built with a structure of wood. Wood is subject to exposure breaking down from termites. So in your structure, your frame, you're going to need to make sure that you have a pest control system. Included in that is the siding. There are different types of siding. There's vinyl siding. There's a brick shield or skin, if you will. And there's hardy plank, which is one of the best non-brick surfaces that you can have. And then there's just pressed wood. With regards to siding, the biggest element of maintenance is painting and pressure washing. We discussed the aspect of termites. Termites can do an incredible amount of damage. The key issue here is that when you run into a termite situation, it's what they called below the surface. And it's difficult to know how much damage, because you really don't know the extent of the damage until something drastically goes wrong. So having a pest control service and maintenance program is very important. And last but not least, windows. Windows, especially double pane windows, they can lose their seal over time. And what you'll see in that regard, when that breaks down, that system breaks down, you'll see condensation in between the window panes. And that's an issue that isn't really a pressing issue. You can live with a foggy window for a little while, but eventually it would be a good idea to get that window replaced. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. Sister is particularly very good at this. We're going to talk about this in terms of steps, what to begin with, and how to set up your finances and your budget so that you can address these issues as they come up. So first step, budgeting step. Lynn, you want to take it from here?
I will take it from here. So I think it's very important to understand you have your new homeowner and you have an existing homeowner. And this particular money management system can work for both. When you have a new homeowner, it's going to take about 6 months to a year to go through the full cycle of setting up this type of money management system. It could, in fact, take this that long for even someone who's in an existing home. But yes, what you want to do is you want to open a separate account, whether it's at a credit union, whether it's a bank account. You want to put this account where you cannot easily access this money. Okay? The next step, or what you want to look at, is when you select your vendors, you are going to understand what that monthly or yearly cost is. So my recommendation is that once you have all of your vendors selected, electrical, HVAC, pest control, and there's one other thing that you didn't include in there that I think is important as well, is waste management. Typically, you can pay that on a yearly basis. A lot of people probably pay it quarterly, but I've even gotten in the process of paying it annually on a yearly basis. Okay. So you select all of your vendors, and what you want to do is you take each cost for each contract, add it together, and divide it by either 12, 8, or 6. Depending on what that number is, you want to pull this money out of your account. It's like paying a bill every pay period. You want to pull this money out of your account and set it into that account, your home account, so that you can build that money that will be there when the time comes.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
What would you advise as a starting amount to place in that account? What would you start with?
Like I said, once you understand what each maintenance agreement is, okay? For HVAC, they have, the company I'm with, they have a maintenance agreement that's $150 every 6 months. I pay that every 6 months. So I know on a yearly basis, that's $300. My waste management, I budget $200. So what I'm saying is you want to take all of those numbers, you want to take all of those amounts and consolidate them. So let's say for your home management total cost $5,000 a year. That's a large number, but I'm going to say it's $5,000 a year. You take that $5,000 and you divide it by whatever's comfortable. If you divide it by 8 months, right? You want to accomplish 5,000 in that 8-month period. Or you could take that 5,000 and divide it by 12. And whatever that number is, this is the amount you're going to pull out of every pay period, and you're going to put it in that home maintenance account.
Okay, so let's say you said 5,000, so that would be roughly, if you divided it by 12, that would be roughly $416. Let's just round say start. Okay. So you would say, let's start the account with $450.
Correct.
Okay, great. So so we've got our budget. We're going to start our home maintenance account with $450, and each month we're going to add $450 to it.
Every pay period, you're paying that home maintenance account just like you would pay a bill.
Okay, so every pay period, that would be $400 every pay period, or will you divide the $400 into 2 payments? Because that's a lot of money.
Depending on how you get paid, it's a monthly. So let's say per month, right?
Okay.
Let's say per month.
So it would be $225 every pay period.
Every pay period.
Okay,
but your goal is to accomplish that 420 or 450, whatever the number we said, is every month.
Okay.
You want to make sure by the end of the year, you have that 5,000 sitting off in that account to address all of your home maintenance issues. And that's why I said it's going to take about 6 months to a year to go through that whole cycle of getting that money into that account, that money management system. Okay.
Let's go on to step 3 or 2A. Here we're starting with systems. You included the waste management, but HVAC, most HVAC companies have a maintenance program that you can purchase that will come out and make sure your system is clean and functioning properly. Mm-hmm. Your septic tank isn't required as often, but it does need to be pumped out every 3 to 5 years. There's also a filter in the septic tank that needs to be cleaned on a regular basis. Homeowners can do that themselves, but for the most part, you want to test your overflow, make sure your baffles in your overflow are working properly, and your triggers for the pump to pump out the excess water, make sure that that's working. That kind of maintenance you can actually do yourself. Mm-hmm. So once you start the maintenance plan, that is a great beginning. Then, can you take it from here, Lynn?
We talked about paying your maintenance plans for your home account every pay period or every month. Every pay period, like I said, you want to accomplish that amount so that at the end of the year, when it is time to pay on those maintenance agreements, that money is already there. And see, here's the importance of this. What you want to do is ensure that you're not stressed and putting this on a credit card, right? You want to make sure that you have the money set aside to address these issues, to address anything that comes up with your HVAC system, your what else did we talk about?
Hot water heater.
Hot water heater. That's another one, right? So you want to make sure that you have the money already set aside to address these, as you call them, these are the home systems, the house systems that run your home to keep you comfortable, to keep the home working properly, right?
Right.
Okay.
Here's a hot tip. You can set up, some banks have a way that you can do auto transferring. So you can automatically transfer so that you don't have to think about it. So when you get paid, the money goes into your bank account. When you have the auto transfer, you can set the date in which you will transfer that 225 over to your home maintenance account. So that you don't have to think about it. It's automatically done for you.
Right.
When you set up that. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can just manually do it the, old school way. But if you want to make this as least mentally taxing, I would recommend doing that.
Okay. I'm old school. I do it the old way.
To each his own. Everybody
yep,
has their way of doing things. So, yeah. So we're going to be funding our home maintenance account. And this will serve in several different beneficial ways. And one of the things that you mentioned is that you don't want to be in a position where you're pressed and stressed to try to figure out how to get the money together. So that will help a great deal. And it'll also make it easy to pay your maintenance plans. What do you think about if an emergencies, let's say you do all this planning and then something comes up that you just don't anticipate.
Right.
Have you ran into that situation where you've had to tap into the fund, the home maintenance account for a situation you didn't see or anticipate?
Most definitely. But what I also tried to do was what I have done is I've built an emergency fund, right?
In addition to the home maintenance account?
In addition to the home maintenance.
Wow.
Right. Okay. So this is where your budgeting is really important.
Most people don't budget that well. Let's just say they have their home maintenance account. And hopefully they don't run into an emergency early on in their home ownership process, because that could deplete your fund. What would you suggest as a way to deal with an emergency if you don't have that separate emergency fund?
If you don't, the reality is, if it's your HVAC system that goes out, the reality is you're going to have to use whatever means necessary. That could be a credit card. And the reason I would not encourage one to pull money out of their home maintenance account is because once you start to pull that money out, it's more difficult to put it back in, right? So handle your emergency separately with whatever means necessary. That could be a credit card, however you want to handle that. But address that and keep this account separate. I have this account where I can't touch it. It's at a credit union where it's difficult to pull that money back, and I purposely chose an account that's not easy to access because I don't want any disruption to that by the end of the year, right? So, and I do understand everyone's going to have different variables that are going to make it difficult to build these types of accounts, but you have to start somewhere. Even if, like your emergency fund, you do want to set up an emergency fund, and that emergency fund is strictly for, or could be strictly for, home emergencies, home maintenance emergencies, right? And this is where budgeting is going to be really important, and it's going to take a lot of discipline, and it's going to take some time. However,
perfect. That sounds perfect. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Really good advice.
And I think it's also important, Cliff, that we talk a little bit about why this type of money management system is important. If you're an existing homeowner and you decide at some point that you want to sell your home, if you have not taken the time to take care of these systems, HVAC, water heater, roofing, windows, if you have not taken the time to manage these systems or manage these systems in the home, you could find yourself having to eat the cost, your selling cost. You might have to reduce, because you could find that your water heater is on the brink of going out. You could find that your HVAC system is 20 years old and it's never been maintained. This is a benefit. Watching these things on a yearly basis is a benefit, even to the point of when you want to sell your home. So I think that it's really important to maintain these systems on a yearly basis and have them checked out on a yearly basis.
That is definitely one of the benefits of managing your home like a business,
Right.
or your home maintenance like a business. And there's another thing that is very, very important. It helps keep you in the know. You know what's happening with your home on a current basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's critically important as well, because you never know when you're going to run into a situation where you need to know that information. In fact, when you do get ready to sell your home, they have what they call as a seller's disclosure. And you on the seller's disclosure, you would tell the age, the last date of service.
Right.
You would discuss those kind of matters. And all of that's information a buyer can use to make their buying decision. So keeping up with this is going to help you in a lot of ways. You may, your job may transfer you, or you may decide, I don't want to live in this city anymore, and you want to up and relocate. That if you keep up with this on a regular basis, and you have a process for dealing with this, all that knowledge is going to be at your fingertips. So really key. Lynn, I tell you, this is award-winning knowledge and information. And you know, I can't tell you how many homes I've gone out to with clients, and we walk in, and you know, we even talk about other things like carpeting and flooring and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Those are not really technically major systems. I mean, you can live with a flooring system that is a little worn. However, if you those things are more easily addressed. If you don't have all these other system issues to deal with, then you can say, well, you know, I'm either going to replace the floor if I get ready to sell the carpet, or you know, pay for that. Or you can give the buyer of your home credit for the floor.
Right.
You know, reduce your selling costs to compensate for a floor that needs to be replaced.
Sure.
When you have flooring and interior paint and all these other cosmetic issues that cost a decent amount of money,
right,
on top of system issues,
right,
a boatload of money that people usually don't have on hand.
It's a boatload, but it's also a stress that you can prevent, or that you can maintain or manage, right? So I think if I had to recap this, I think that it's really important for people to understand, and you can use any type of system that you want, any type of spreadsheet. But I think budgeting, when you become a homeowner, I think budgeting should be top of mind, right? And I realize that everybody's situation is different. You have homeowners that have children, you have single people, you have couples, right? And you have to do what works really best for you. But I think that it's important that you put some type of system in place. What we talked about today works for me, right? But I think it's really important that people understand that you want to manage that stress level as much as possible. So a couple of things that I suggest: QuickBooks, Excel. You can even create your own type of budget system. I have one where it has all of my primary bills at the top, right? Everything that I know gets paid on a monthly basis. Yes, on a monthly basis. The next section is my contract management services, right? All of the things, all my service agreements, everything that I know has a yearly service charge I budget all of that out. And then the last thing I budget out is fun stuff or Amazon orders or, things that I know I could particularly need. But it's not part of my budget. Once you have a way of tracking your money, it will be so much easier. Watch what you're spending your money on. You might see that you spend money on a weekly basis on going out to eat. That's something that you might have to reevaluate. So budgeting is going to be key for putting this type of money management system in place. Okay.
That's awesome, Lynn. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast with me.
You are so welcome.
And, one of my missions as a real estate agent is to help people succeed in real estate. And this is one of the areas that I see a lot of people could use some advice on. And I think all of the things that you mentioned in this podcast with regards to home maintenance and budgeting and service plans, man, that's going to make a big difference for a lot of people. I'm so grateful for your time and your expertise and knowledge, and look forward to you on the next podcast if one comes up. Maybe do another one on budgeting in more detail. But okay. But in terms of real estate, this is key information. And thank you so much. Take care. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Okay. All right. Bye.